Hello everybody. In this screencast we're going to look at fragments. Fragments are a very important component in Android, and that component actually lives inside an activity, but it has its own life cycle. It is much smarter than the button, for example, or a text view and so on, which are simple view elements, right? But this is a component that can have its own layout, but it needs to exist inside an activity. We look at fragments and so on. So let's create a new fragment. So how to create a new fragment? You go to your Java side and you click package and you click new and fragment. Here it is. And I'm going to pick the blank fragment. All right. I click the blank fragment, give it a name. Let's call it first fragment. All right. And basically it's going to create a layout for it. And I click on finish. Here it is. And basically it came in and it created a lot of code here for me. And a lot of this code we don't need for the time being, but we'll come back to it. So I'm going to remove all of that stuff just for the sake of, so that I could show you how. So this is a very simple fragment. Here it is. Okay, I created the fragment. It extends fragment, it has an onCreate and has an onCreate view. So it has a life cycle. So the fragment has its own life cycle, but its life cycle is related to the life cycle of the activity. So that it's going to live in. So, and it has its own layout. Here it is. Let's go to the layout and maybe change the color of the layout. Let's make its background color to the background. Let's make its background color red. Here it is. So this is the fragment. The background color of the fragment is red. And for this text view, let's say we set its color to be text appearance. Here it is. Let's set its color to be, here is text color. Let's make it white. Here it is. Okay, so here it says hello fragment, right? This is hello, this is a blank fragment, and so on. So you already have your fragment, it has its own layout, right? So that's the fragment, right? Let's go to the main activity. What if I want to add that main activity to a fragment inside the main activity? All what I need to do is just drag it from here and drop it. And here's the fragment, click OK, and it added the fragment. Very nice. So let's add it here and here. Here we go. Right, here we go, and I'm going to add it inside here. Okay, good. So now let's say we edit the constraints so that it will take up the whole width and height, okay, of the main activity. Now it seems that this main activity I have a padding because I inserted the padding in a previous. See here, I already have a padding in the main activity, right? Anyhow, so I have my fragment, right? And it gets an ID. You know, that ID is important in some cases. And this is my fragment. Very nice. So now we go back. Why it's not happy? Unknown fragments. Okay, so it thinks that there is unknown fragment. Allows the layout to dynamically include layout editing time. You can choose the layout. So anyhow, do not warn. So basically that's mainly related to the fragment. I'm not going to worry about this for the time being. Now let's run it. I'm gonna run it just to see if things will work, right? And then we'll go over the life cycle of a fragment. So basically you could see you have the main activity and inside it there is a fragment, right? Now this fragment has its own life cycle. So you could see there is an onCreate for the main activity. Let's say we do log d, and I will say main activity onCreate. So that's the main activity onCreate, right? And now also the main activity has onResume, right? So let's do that. onResume, and I'm going to do the same thing, log d, and I'm going to say onActivity onResume, on main activity onResume. So that's the onCreate, onResume. And basically what happens is that when you inflate the layout for the main activity, during that process, the inflation code or the set content view, which is going to inflate that, it's also going to inflate the fragment. So basically, let's say here, we could do this. This one is after on set content view. And I could have a log message before set content view, right? So let's see, this is just the life cycle of the activity, and then there is an onResume, right? Now let's go back to the fragment. The fragment has an onCreate, has an onCreate view. Also, it has other things. There is a method called onAttach. This is actually when it gets attached to the activity. right? So basically we do this, we could say log d, and I need the tag, so I'll just copy the tag definition here from the main. All right, here we are. Okay, so now on create, and that's going to be the first fragment. That's the on create for the first fragment. All right. And then basically, if you look at what happens in the on create view, basically it gets an inflator, and it uses the inflator to inflate, meaning to change from XML or this kind of description into an object kind format, and it creates the hierarchy and so on. And you pass it on the name of the file name. See, fragment first underscore first. So basically, let's do this. I'll just copy this guy and paste it here, and I'll say on create view for first fragment. So that's on create view, and then there is an on resume. Here is the on resume or on attach, or it has an on attach. Also, it has an on resume. Here's an on resume. So the fragment has methods very similar to the activity, but you will see that these methods follow the activity. They open in a they occur in a specific cycle or a specific life cycle that is very much related to the activity. So now let's see what's going on. There is on create, on resume. You can also do on start. On start, here it is, the main activity on start. We can do that. All right, here we are. And on start, here it is. Let's have a look at if the fragment has an on start. On start, here it is, same story. So basically here we go. Control C and Control V, and here's your on start. So basically you could see that there is a fragment. I can have buttons, I can have text and whatever. So I'm just starting with something really simple so that you could we could extend from there. So now when we run this and open up the logcat, so what happens is that you could see the main activity. This is before set content view, right? And then when you call set content view, the fragment on attach gets called, the fragment on create gets called, and then on create view gets called. And in on create view, actually the view of the fragment gets created, because you see it returns back a view. The view of the fragment gets created, and then the main activity after the set on content view is completed, right? Now you could also track if the, I think here there is a on create view, on activity created. You can also do that. This is when after the on create view is done, that you can do that also. So basically if we take this here and you paste it here, copy this name in the fragment, let's run it again, and you will see that before and then on attach, on create view, and then this one tells you the on activity created. You see this method is called after the activity is created, meaning after this method is done, right? And then you get on start of the fragment, and then on start of the main activity, on resume of the main activity, and then on resume of the fragment. So you could see that the fragment and the activity, their life cycle overlaps. You know, there is a sequence of events that happen in the activity that triggers events in the fragment, and similarly in the fragment that actually follow the life cycle of the activity. So anyhow, so you could see that you can have a fragment. Can I have more than one fragment? Of course, you can have more than one fragment on the screen. You know, all you need to do, the approach that we used is the trivial approach, where we actually insert the fragment into the layout, you know, in the XML file. And that becomes a static layout that you cannot change, meaning you cannot change, remove that fragment and put another one dynamically when the app is running. And we'll look at that in more detail in the next couple of videos. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.